now, yes. Next time.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. The time is now 6:05 p.m., January 19, 2023, and we are ready to begin our regular scheduled meeting, our first board meeting of 2023. Here we go. Members of the public who desire to address the board on any topic related to board work must sign the roster at the back of the room by 6:30 p.m. Norma, would you do me the honor of our first roll call?
Yes. Mrs. English?
Here.
Ms. Frazier?
Here.
Mrs. Salazar? Here. Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mrs. Wills Hill? I'll get to that later. Miss Ali?
Here.
And Miss Eunice.
Here.
Everyone is present and accounted for.
Very nice, very nice. All right. Next up, we have our Pledge of Allegiance and our reading of our mission statement, led by Miss Ella French, Fabian Moran, and Ella Rankin. Those students with us today? Very nice.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think we need to hit the button on your microphone there.
Graduate college and career-ready students with the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors to personally succeed and contribute to the common good.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Ms. French, I do have something for you here. One of our D2 bags. We thought we would have more, but you can be solo today. All right, we will proceed to item number 3 to adopt our agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review that agenda? All right. Item 3.2, I would just need a motion to approve.
Mr. President, I move to approve the agenda as presented. I second.
Motion by Mrs. Frazier, seconded by Mrs. Wills Hill. All those in favor?
Aye.
I don't have my gavel, but we do have a meeting. Item number 4, communicating with the board. This evening, our presentations are coming from
It is School Board Appreciation Month.
School Board Recognition Month, there we go.
Well, we're appreciating you too and recognizing you. I will say, and then we're gonna have some presentations for you, but I don't know that you'll hear this from every superintendent, but one of the reasons I love Harrison is because we have an amazing school board that really supports our staff and puts our students first. So thank you to all of you. We've been through a lot together with COVID and with some political forecasting out there in the world, and you have all stood strong and supported Harrison students like no other school board, definitely in the city, if not in the state or country. So thank you to all of you. And our wonderful PIO gets to read. Are you gonna read it or summarize it? Okay, she's gonna summarize a proclamation.
I am. So while there are many whereas on this proclamation, I would like to summarize for our school board members tonight. So members of the board, whereas school board members are committed to children and the belief that all children can be successful learners, whereas school board members are extraordinary people who invest many hours of volunteer work to tackle the enormous job of governing our school districts and whose actions and decisions help impact the present and future lives of young Coloradans, and whereas the dedication of school board members across our state should be recognized and commended. Governor Jared Polis is very sorry he cannot join you this evening, but he has sent some lovely certificates for each of you. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, thank you.
And then we will also have presentations for each of you from a group of schools. So I'm gonna wait till they get all their goodies up here and then they can present to you.
Good evening. We are starting with Mr. Corey Williams. So we have a whole bunch of gifts. The one I'm holding is very heavy, but it came from Stratton Meadows because we have been lucky to have you twice. Usually we make a painting, so we have something for the inside of your school. Now we have something for the outside of your school. It is a mosaic tile that can go at your garden, and if you turn it over, it talks about that you are a stone for your garden and a star for your heart. So all of our kids in 3rd and 4th grade got to help with this, and they were super excited because it was something different than a painting. So thank you for everything that you do for us. You are amazing for our community. You are amazing for our school, and you are an amazing leader of our school board, so we really appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And all of these things are also for you.
All of course. Can you guys take a picture with Corey?
Yeah, let's
We're not for there.
Contributing to this team. Wait, we got 2 more. We're coming. We're coming. Is this one yours?
There we go.
Coach, come on. I need some help. Is everyone else? There we go. There we go.
Thank you.
Now look at your wife. Get the real picture.
Okay. You want this to go back there, or?
We're gonna sit down here.
You betcha I can do this.
So, our next board member that we're going to recognize is Ms. J.J. Frazier. So, on behalf of Wildflower Elementary, Otero Elementary, Mountain Vista Community School, and Panorama Middle School, we would like to present Ms. J.J. Frazier, our beloved board member, with these tokens of our appreciation. The students at each of our schools are directly affected by the work you do in this room to preserve and protect their education. These gifts represent their hearts, minds, and of our staffs and students. We appreciate you, Ms. Frazier, for your selfless contributions to our schools and our community. Each school contributed a gift that shows our gratitude. Mountain Vista Community School, a frame with a red tree represents Ms. Frazier's favorite color, red and burgundy. The tree represents strength and protection and how much Ms. Frazier has advocated for the students of D2. Otero has included a lavender candle, her favorite scent, with an inspiring statement as she has been an inspiration to our community and our future. Students created a thumbprint canvas as she has helped shape our unique population. And Otero's shirt was also included as the board has contributed to support the schools and acknowledge the efforts of the Panther family. Wildflower added trail mix, Ms. Frazier's favorite. They also added some more swag, t-shirts for their D2 member, because we are so proud of having you as our board member. They also added a Wildflower t-shirt since they would love to thank you for everything you do, and they want you to think of them often and wear it often. Panorama has included a painting that's done by one of our aspiring artists to show that we grow all students' talents and that you as a board member support those missions. We have also included some Panorama swag, a sweatshirt, a water bottle, and custom "This Girl Loves Panorama" earrings. Just for you. Nobody else has those. So we thank you, Ms. Frazier, and we really appreciate you.
Okay, Cassie, who else did you say? Wildflower, Angela.
You're so welcome.
Okay, so we are presenting for Mrs. Michelle Hill. And first we have, down here, we have a bag here from Aspire Online Academy. And inside, there are some letters painted, some AOA letters that were designed and painted by the students during the in-person Mondays. The students' artwork was the vision of their ELA teacher, and the vision was to show the uniqueness of AOA and how our board members have to be creative in developing different ways to support our AOA students and staff in the online world. Also, there is some swag in there as well, just so that you can support in that way as well. We also have some swag in here from Harrison High School. So we have, there's a lot of swag in there. It kind of fills the bottom. We have from Sand Creek International School. Their middle school leadership team has made a surprise box. Wait till you see what's in there. I'm not going to tell you, though I know what's in here. But they have created a surprise box in there, and definitely a poster just to let you know how much you do for them, to thank you for everything. And 8th grade has created a picture frame here with their fingerprints. It's really cute. It says thank you from a bunch of us. Their fingerprints are all in there made into balloons. You want to show it? Show it. In there. Just thanking you for all you do. And Monterey has taken some artists of note. Each each grade level chose their favorite artwork from the year, and then we chose one piece from their favorite art project, took pictures and created a note card with their artworks of note. So there are note cards in their personalized note cards with their artwork on it.
One, two, three.
Hi, I am here for board member Miss Regina English representing Sherburne and Kim Squared. So Sierra High School, Soaring Eagles, and Centennial. So we, Centennial and Sierra went with the gift of growth. So from Sierra High School, we wanted to thank you for helping us grow at Sierra. So the student council got together and they painted this pot and then told you all of the ways that they appreciate how you help us at Sierra specifically. So thank you so much for being connected with us. Yes, of course Nyaja's on this. She's in the student council. Yes, we made sure she was one of the first. All right. And then Centennial also helped with the idea of growth, and that is from their Lego team, 4th grade and her littles. So she also has a vase for you, as well as some Lego flowers. I'm assuming Lego flowers, and a box with some of your favorite blow pop treats, so that you can continue to grow and blow too. Okay? And then finally, yes, oh, I'm sorry, and Oak Creek, I'm sorry. Also Oak Creek, so we have from Soaring Eagles, their 4th grade class, wanted to make you this beautiful dragon's eye to make sure that you are colorful and creative and sassy, so thank you. And then, y'all pull me out for my show. You're doing a fine job. Thank you. Okay. And then, again, we've got this beautiful flower of growth of hands from all of our students at Oak Creek. They are small but mighty. Come on up. Oh, thank you. Naija, you want to hold your frame? Yes, you can hold yourself.
Salazar for your time and dedication on the school board and everything that you do for the students and staff. So I'm presenting on behalf of Fox Meadows, Berker Elementary, and Homeschool Academy. So art teacher. So we of course both said you should help us come up with something. So we have this set of cleavesies, one from Terman Elementary in cool colors, and one from Bricker Elementary in warm colors. Created by, ours was a 4th grade student. Do you remember what, are they both 4th graders? Okay, 4th grade students. So you have this set from us, from Bricker and Terman. From Homeschool Academy, this was your high school? Yes. High school has a rendering of you with and then this is a mosaic because of your how much you love Colorado. A mosaic of the Colorado flag with some scenery here from the middle school. Yeah, the middle school made that for you. And then we have this book is all of the elementary students created something for you. Actually, no, every K through 12? Yeah. So every student K through 12 in the Homeschool Academy created a small piece of art for you to enjoy. And last but not least, from Fox Meadows Middle School, this was created using the Glowforge. Forge. Created by the students. And this nice notepad holder. And some swag for you. Everybody gets socks from Fox Meadows. Love to share that. So. And then this is also a card from the homeschool. Very special. It says really good things.
Oh, nice. Oh my goodness, this is so amazing. I have a new appreciation for art. And so,
Oh, you should have presented.
So I'm not going to say last but not least, I'm going to say most importantly, I'd like to thank and appreciation of these two amazing individuals up here to our left, Candelora and Naomi. Thank you for being exemplary role models. Thank you for setting the bar high. Thank you for being a part of our school board. You're very valued and appreciated, and we're so very proud of you. Thank you. They are each receiving a bag of a variety of swag and goodies. We won't do much Vanna White to talk about their bags, but thank you again and hope you enjoy it.
And you all have a basket of goodies from executive team. They're not as maybe creative as some of the presents you have out there, but we really appreciate your support and you creating a path for us to move forward with students here in Harrison. So again, let's give our board one more round of applause. And then board, if you could each take one present and just stand up here so Christine could get a picture of all of you with just something showing that we appreciated you. Not bad.
And are we ready? 1, 2,
I tell you, the first time that we received some of those things, those items of appreciation, I was just starstruck because I got a painting that a student had made for me as a superhero, and it had my wife in it, and it had my dog in it, and my daughter wasn't here yet. And so I still have all of my paintings. I tell my wife every time I get something new, the library is going to be big when we get there. You know, when we get there, the library is going to be big because I'm not throwing any of this stuff away. And so it may get to be a lot more items because I had to convince my wife. I was like, let's stay 6 more years. So I'm going to try to run again because I won by acclamation last time. So I'm here for Harrison, and we're going to see if we can win one. And so, hey, that art room is going to be huge. Our art room is going to be huge. I really appreciate you guys for appreciating us. I love Harrison. I've loved being a part of you guys, and that takes the cake. I don't care how heavy they get, they're still coming, and I'm keeping them until forever. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Oh, and y'all don't want to add nothing? I'll jump right back into it if you want me to.
I would just like to say that I so appreciate I don't think that we do the work for recognition. So this is just so overwhelming. And last year's gifts are amazing. This year's gifts are amazing, and when I look at them, I see the potential of our students. And I will take this with me when I am talking to anybody about our students and our district and the staff that we represent. Thank you so much for your hard work and your care. I'm super proud to be D2. Thank you.
I would just like to say that I'm so happy to be a part of this board because I have gotten so many great opportunities and experiences, and just being able to learn about how a board works and being able to work with the board and advocate for students is just such a big honor, and I'm so thankful to be a part of it.
I'd like to acknowledge that you, the staff, and the work that you have done for our students makes it very easy up here. Thank you for all of your hard work, your diligence, and please relay to our students who are not here tonight how much I truly appreciate these wonderful gifts and this wonderful recognition. But really, we should be providing gifts for you because you all are doing the hard work, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Sitting up here arguing who should go next. I just love everybody. You know, nothing but love for everybody. It is really overwhelming to be recognized. But really, I can't repay what you have given me personally. You know, my world has really been opened up since being on the board. I only knew what I knew because of my daughter, you know, going through Harrison and graduating the Harrison district. But being on this side and having this lens and really getting to know and see what you do and what it takes to make all of our students successful. So it is really, I appreciate you. I know this is about us, but really, there is no us without you. So thank you for all that you do.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say I love everybody too. But yeah, so this will probably be my, well, not probably, it will be my last board member appreciation day. So I'm sad about that. But what I can say is that not I, but we are in a very unique position because I represent us here on the board level at the school district, and I represent us at the state capitol. So, thank you. So that's twofold. So I'm here to ensure our students get a high quality education, just as well as the state capitol. And I'm truly honored and humbled to be in this position, to be a voice for students, to be a voice for teachers, and we could not do anything that we do without you all. So I thank you for your hard work, consistency, and dedication to the success of our students. And I just want to shout out to our Superintendent of the Year, Dr. Wendy Berhansom, who has been rocking with me the whole time I've been on the board. So I'm very appreciative. She's so deserving of the Superintendent of the Year, but it's because of you all. So the whole entire staff, all the teachers and the administrative team here at Harrison School District 2, no one argues with me when I say we are the best district ever, and it's non-negotiable. I tell them all the time, it's not open for discussion. I said what I said. So I'm honored to be a part of the best school district ever, and when I leave in November, I'm only up the road. So I'm always going to be D2. I'm always going to be here advocating for our students. So thank you.
Big hearts back to work. Back to it. Item number 5, showcasing schools. Tonight we have Miss Layman, principal over at Fox Middle, and her vice principal, Sabrina Hurwitz, and Lee Cooper. Mr. Lee Cooper.
Good afternoon, good evening, and thank you for allowing us to be the school showcase tonight. We are very excited to show you and tell you everything that's going on at Fox Meadow this year and all the growth that we've made over the last few years since we last presented. So this is our current staff, and our slogan or mantra this year is every student, every day. And we really do believe that everything we do is based on our students, and we believe in our students every day. So over the last 5 years, we've started or focused really on our vision and mission at Fox Meadow. Our first year, we really focused just on staff morale. That is where we needed to begin because we did have a lot of turnover, a lot of uncertainty. So we started there. The next year, then we focused on our students. If we have a healthy staff and a happy staff, then we're going to have happy and successful students. So then moved to students. Then the third year, we really went into the focus of community and beyond, but that was also when COVID hit, so we really were trying to focus on our students again and bringing back in our community. So that was year 4 as well. And then this year is year 5, and we've really focused on equity this year. Equity among our students, equity in the classroom, and just how we're teaching our special populations. And so our 5 years ago, we started ground zero with trying to figure out what do we want to do. And so as we developed our vision, it was our Fox Meadow community embraces diversity and creativity to empower lifelong learners and leaders. So a lot of my Facebook posts are hashtag embrace and empower, as well as every student every day, and we are FMMX. We believe our students can succeed, and we do take actions every day, hence the every student every day. Our demographics this year show that we have 29 teachers. We currently have 2 long-term substitutes. We have 9 office/counseling staff, 4 people on our mental health team, which also includes like part of our special education team, 4 paraprofessionals, and our new one started today. We're very excited about him joining our team. 5 custodial staff, and then 4 kitchen staff. As you see on the left side, that is our student enrollment. We do have a high number of ELL learners, or English language learners, and so this year that went into part of our equity as well to ensure those students are feeling like they're integrated into the classroom and not just put aside because they're unable to follow or speak the language. And so we really have been successful with what our focus is with our students and ensuring that everyone feels, no matter what they are, tall, short, this ethnicity, that they are part of the Fox Meadow community and involved in our classrooms every single day. Also, I'd like to do a shout out on Mr. Cooper, because my goal at the beginning of the year was that we were going to increase the number of identified gifted students, and so he was able to identify 6 more at beginning of end of first semester, and we have a few more that Patty Vale is in the process of testing. So kudos to him. Thank you for taking on that. And now I'll hand it over to Mr.
Hello. So being new, I figured I'd take on the one that everyone wants to do, which is so I'll try to be quick. A few things to highlight. So this is our CMAS data. 7th grade math just showing some growth there. Our ELA scores still high from where they were kind of during that pandemic time, but down a little bit. So that was kind of our area of growth for that. Other data, we just finished up with our iReady second test. So iReady being like our district-wide test, obviously, and then so a couple areas of growth. Our 6th graders really grew a lot. So when you look at the left-hand side of that typical growth, that's kind of saying like, hey, this is where we want our kids to be by the end of the year. Our 6th graders on their median score actually exceeded that. And then, so pretty high scores when we look at that. Still some areas of growth though, like our 7th grade in particular, and that's something that we're going to be working on moving in this semester and focusing there. Looking at math data, a little bit lower in terms of their typical growth, not quite to that 50% mark that we were hoping for, but across the board, pretty even scores with all of our grade levels, so hoping to also be looking what ways we can improve there. Okay. Yep, and then the last one that we have here, so our school performance framework, we actually were able to move up from being on improvement to now into performance, so that was something that we felt pretty proud of and wanted to include there. And I'll hand it off to Ms. Earp.
Good evening. I'm very happy I didn't have to get the school out, but usually I do, so I'm okay with that. What we're looking at is for our next steps here, and what we're really focusing on is change, okay? We know change happens all the time, and that's what we look at our school. We know we have to change, and that's where we really put that urgency in place when we are talking to our teachers and to our staff members that, okay, this isn't working, let's figure out how we can make it better. And so what we're doing right now is we have reading and writing in our advisory classes, and our advisory classes are in the first thing in the morning, and the first thing those kids come in and do, and they're doing some math facts. And so really integrating that in, that this is a daily practice that we need to work on, and making sure that they are focusing in on that. We're partnering with districts in the departments as well, so when the district employees come in, they're helping us in our departments. We have specific members that come in, usually about once a month, that are helping us to find that growth and figure out how we can make those changes and really make it better for our school and for our students. Getting books in kids' hands. Yes, we have computers. Yes, that's great. But we also need to go back to those books too and really make sure that we can focus on their reading skills and getting them to that point. The math department itself went through a book study, or no, they're going through a book study right now, and it's called Building Thinking in the Classrooms, and this is something that Ms. Lehman has already gone through and thought that it was a really great idea to bring to the department and really help them to improve in that way. Also, we have reading and writing and high expectations in every class daily. So this is something that we're constantly checking on, seeing ways that we can improve, seeing how we can help our staff members and our teachers in order to really get those students where we want them to be. So we embrace change, and we're working on it. Our clubs at Fox Meadow, we've got a lot of different clubs here. We've got our NJHS. We have BASH, which is our band after school hour, and that's pretty cool for our band students that they get to practice more and actually focus on those skills there. We have Girl Scouts. We have Math Power Hour. That is something that is going to really help these students with their math and to get them to that level that we want them to be. We have the Hip Hop Club. This thing was so cool. So cool. You got to see them practicing these dance moves and everything, and it really helped to engage the students. We have Yoga Club. That's another thing that's great for them to be able to understand how to relax and how to enjoy and work through things like that. We've got our Web Leaders, which is where everybody belongs, and they're very helpful throughout the school, helping us when we have our first day for those 6th graders and having them come in and mentoring them and helping them understand, what they can do when they're at our school. We have Art Club, weightlifting, homework club, and then also tobacco-free leaders, because I think that's critical in any of our schools right now. You will see here for our extracurriculars, we have a lot in common. The boys and the girls do a lot of the same things. We have band, we have choir, we have track and field, we have soccer, we have basketball, cross country. Yes, I'm going backwards. We have wrestling, but then we've got some different things that we do as well too. The girls have volleyball and cheerleading and softball, and the boys also have football. So we have areas for them to be involved, to be able to showcase what they can do outside of just the classroom, really help them to be engaged and to understand how all of that kind of coordinates together. And then our last one here is partners and programs. We try to partner up as much as we can because we know that, one, we have a lot of change going on in our school, and two, that we can use outside help. And so we've got our ECOC, that's our Educating Children of Color. We've got the CTH, the Capturing Kids' Hearts. AVID, we are an AVID school, so we're the Advancement via Individual Determination. We've partnered with Because I Love You to help with that community support and things like that. Broadmoor Community Church has really been helpful too. They came in on our first day of school and they helped to welcome the children back, which was awesome. We've got our Girl Scouts program, Kingdom Builders Family Life Center, the Jocelyn's Renaissance, which Ms. Boyke has been working with, Peak Education, and Child of This Culture. So, this is us. This is who we are, every student, every day. Do we have any questions?
No questions at all from me. It's a pleasure to see you, Ms. Hurwitz, Mr. Cooper, and Ms. Lehman. It's always a pleasure to see you. Anytime I come to Fox Meadow, I'm just moseying on through, and she'll see me down the hall and say, "Do you need something?" And I'm like, "No, go do what you need." Always a pleasure to see your staff. Your staff is always welcoming. I love Fox Meadow.
Well, thank
Love
you.
guys.
And we really appreciate you. Thank you for all the work you do.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Over to you.
See, now I feel a little old because I know the Macarena. Those kids don't know the Macarena. So, and the two-step, they should know the two-step, but that was my generation too. And I remember when I used to get in trouble for beating on the desk, and now they can do it, so I'm a little upset now. But lots of good things. Love coming to Fox Meadow. Love to see kids just having fun, learning, loving their environment. I remember attending Abbott Night last year, and I mean, it was a blast. Those kids enjoy all of those events to the fullest. You have to drag them away from the event. You have to push them into, okay, you gotta come to school tomorrow now. So I love you guys. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for all you do. Does anyone have anything to add?
So I've not been to Fox Meadows yet, but that will be my first one.
Any day you're welcome.
I'll have something to say. I'm really, really happy to still see Miriam Bagan. Please don't ever mess that up. No, I just want to, since we're highlighting them, I want to give a little background with Miriam Bagan. My daughter actually had some challenges in being at grade level for reading. It wasn't until she got in Miriam Bagan's class that she finally was at grade level in 7th grade. And that's just to attribute to the diligence and the heart of the teachers that are at that school. So I just want to give her a shout out for one. Number two, I really appreciated the presentation, and more so, you know, we get these presentations, but we're also in tune to what are you accomplishing, where the lack is, what are you doing to make those corrections. And so, you know, at the end of the day, we are about the results for our students to be successful. So I was very, very happy to see that as part of the presentation as well, and your strategies moving forward. So thank you very much for that.
I had the opportunity to attend the band concert at Fox Meadow, and I thought, number one, I love the enthusiasm from the community and the parents. They all came out, and it was very, very well attended, and the kids were just wonderful. It's a great concert.
Yeah, that jazz Sugar Plum Fairy was good. I was toe tapping.
And I'll just add, thank you for the work you do, Ms. Langley. I know my daughter London attended Fox Meadows years back, and I think, were you her volleyball coach or one of her teachers? Yeah, my daughter played volleyball for her. So my gifts were about growth. So kudos to you for the growth that I've seen since I've been on the school board. So thank you for all you do at Fox Meadows. And I have visited Fox Meadows a few times. So thank you all for what you do.
All right, we will move right along to communicating with the public. Item 6.1, public comment. Do we have any names this evening? There are none, so we shall move right on to 6.2. We have a report for district-wide surveys from our very own Ms. Rachel Wofford and Annie Bristol.
So just to set the stage as they come up to present, every year we give a survey to look at climate in the district as well as culture within the schools. And I don't want to steal too much of Andy's thunder as he explains the survey. But I think that's one thing that sets our district apart is that we ask for feedback, we want the honest feedback, and we act on the feedback. So it's not just a survey that we put away. We are presenting it to you, then we will present it to the public on our website. It will be available for everyone to see. Schools have already seen their data and have already developed plans to respond to their data. And we have some good trends that we're going to share with you right now.
Thank you, Dr. B, and good evening, board. Just a little background about the survey, that we do open the window at the end of the first quarter for the survey to be taken. The survey is given in both English and Spanish. We do it at the end of the first quarter, and so we have time to act on the results. We have had this be delivered at the end of the year, but that doesn't give us enough time to give impact to this year's students and staff. And so we do that purposefully to give ourselves a little bit of room to make some momentum. The survey is actually a couple of different types. We have a school quality survey and we have an employee engagement survey. And so we are only presenting to you the school quality surveys tonight, but you'll see on your dashboard the employee engagement as well. But I want to make sure that there is the distinction between the two. We do survey 3 different distinct groups with complementary items between all 3 different groups. You've got one for just parents, one for students, and one for staff. And so those 3 are going to be what you kind of see this evening on the overview. What we want you to understand is about what we do to try to get as much stakeholder involvement as possible. We email the community, we post it on the school websites, and solicit information that way. As a result, for our parents, we have just over 1,000 respondents this year. And so that is about the 3-year trend where we've been. Our staff is actually been at 64%, which is higher than it has been in years past, and so that's encouraging. But we also survey all types of employees. It's not just our instructional staff, but it's our front office staff, our custodial staff, our transportation, all central office as well. And so everybody gets included, everybody has a voice in this. And then our students as well. We want to make sure that we hear from them as much as possible. They get the opportunity to respond to items, but then also give us quotes, give us what we call a verbatim, tell us what we're doing good. And so it's not just a binary number, but it's also an opportunity for them to tell us in their own words what they like and what they don't like. Our students, we start the survey at grade 3 because it's important to us that they are able to read the survey and take it on their own. But from grades 3 through 12 is who we get on the student side. And so the first one that I want to talk to you about is our students. And some of the positives that they have showed us is that 85% of our 3rd through 12th graders respect the leadership of their principals. And so it's a testament to the leadership that we have, and that they respect the authority that they have in their building and the leadership they possess. And so that, I think, speaks highly to the community that we're trying to build as a district. Also, just our secondary students, about 90% of them report that their families are asking them how they're doing in school. And so I want to make sure you're aware that our community does care, and they are involved in their students' education. And that's an important point that I want to make sure you're aware of. For elementary, about the same, about 90% of them are proud with how the school looks. The reason why that's noteworthy is because we are doing what we said we're going to do. We spent a lot of time and effort with our bond makeover, and we are still making progress, but they're seeing the impact right from our elementary, from the eyes and from their input. For our improvement opportunity, we are seeing a bit of a discrepancy between our elementary and our secondary students. We have about a 30 percentage point difference between our elementary and our secondary, saying that their teachers make learning interesting. That's something that you'll be hearing from us about what we're going to do with our next steps. And also a similar number, about 60% of our students that say that their teachers notice when they are struggling. More of our elementary students say that their teachers notice them, but our secondary students aren't seeing that as much. And so Ms. Loffer is going to talk to us about our next steps that we're going to address for our students.
So on the bottom of each stakeholder group, you will see the next steps. We're using a similar format that we have presented in the past. The first and third bullet, I'm going to speak to together because they both really capture the importance of relationships between our staff and students. And we know that the research says students learn from those teachers that they like. And so that is really important because we have to build that welcoming environment, that supportive nature where students feel comfortable advocating for themselves, taking risks, and also sharing when something does not make sense. So part of that is just the overall focus on relationships. A year ago, you heard last May from CDMT and from DAC, each of those groups really spoke to the fact that we needed the social emotional curriculum and that we needed a greater focus on that. So we explored several this year. We looked at lots of different programs, pros and cons. I can share more details about that process, kind of like I shared earlier today about the reading RFP, and it takes us several months to work through making that choice. And so we did a similar process with SEL and with the Character Strong. So we purchased that at the end of the first quarter, about the same time that we were taking this survey. And the survey results just reinforce that what you heard from CDMT and DAC is what our students are saying as well. So we're rolling out Character Strong. Principals in the room, we spent time in the January admin meeting, getting hands-on, and they're working on developing roadmaps of how they start to train staff and implement it within the classroom. The other question about teachers not necessarily noticing when a student is struggling, or that student's perception that they don't notice, really relates to some of the work we're doing around MTSS, which is multi-tiered systems of support. In the strategic plan, we did not use this acronym because we really made that strategic plan readable to people without knowing all the use acronyms. So we talked about in year 2, we really had to get better at individualizing instruction for students. And the way we've gone about that is really creating a network to improve our MTSS system. So that's identifying when students are struggling and how do we intervene successfully to see that very targeted growth at the individual student level. So we've hired an MTSS coordinator who started in July. We created MTSS facilitators, so every building has 1 or 2 facilitators that come here, meet with our MTSS coordinator and myself monthly, and we're really working to create some shared district knowledge about MTSS. We have some schools with some really strong systems, but district-wide we knew we really had not provided any MTSS support for the past several years. So that's a big focus from teaching and learning this year. So we think the relationship building plus our individualized academic focus for kids kind of work together to address some of that survey data that you see from students. Any questions on the student piece before we move to the next stakeholder?
I'll hop in and say a little bit, just looking at that data that you just presented about the students not noticing that their teachers, they don't think their teachers notice when they're struggling. And you see that age group, that grade level, that's around the time where students are starting to figure out, okay, I'm a bit more independent now. And we as adults oftentimes don't ask for help either, and so we think no one cares. But we just have to open our hearts a little bit more to let those students know, yeah, you can ask for help. Even if you don't think that I notice that you're struggling, if you ask me, I'll definitely put my mind to task to help you get over what you're going through. And so even adults struggle with that as well. So I definitely, I can relate to that as a student myself. So, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Harrison Heart is still growing. We're growing every day, and we'll get there. Appreciate you. You can go on.
I would just say this is a good opportunity to hear from some students. So students, how can teachers make it more evident that they are noticing you're struggling? Yeah, Naija.
Naija was like, I don't have those issues. Yeah. Have you seen my GPA?
So we're hearing from your peers that they don't feel like maybe if they're struggling, a teacher's noticing that or picking up on that. which could be a perception, but it could be true also. So how can teachers make it evident that they notice someone's struggling, or how can they reach out to make sure that the student knows that they're gonna help them?
I would say like pulling them aside in class, or like emailing them if they get like a really bad score on like a higher graded assignment, or even if they're just like not doing as well as they normally do, because I know in like certain semesters kids lose motivation a lot, and so like checking in during like the second or fourth semester would probably be beneficial, just so like kids know like, hey, your teacher is a resource for you to have, and they're there to help you, not to hurt your grade.
I would probably say just make it a more comfortable environment overall by accepting like conversations or just talking to them normally and not being as strict in the classroom, and just checking on them daily. So it's not just when they seem like they're upset, but just in general, like how are you doing? Any updates on this? Like you remember what they talked to you about before, and you're asking them about it the next day. So it shows that you actually care.
You ask the students and they'll give you the answers. They'll let you know exactly what they need. You can proceed.
So the next group we want to make sure you are aware of is our staff. This happens to be the instructional staff, but it's also the school-based staff is included in these results. And so it's not any central office, it's not neither of the departments as well, you see, but it's just the teachers, paraprofessionals, administrators, and so forth. Some of the positives that we're seeing from our staff is that 88% of them believe that their schools are safe, and which is something to celebrate. And we want to make sure that that is something we've been working and taking strides for just that sentiment. 93% agree that helping students achieve challenging academic goals is the primary focus of their job. And so that's putting the emphasis where it needs to be on helping students advance their competencies. And then almost as high is the 95% of the staff feel that schools build the positive relationships with their students. Again, back to what we heard prior about what we know helps improve student development and student achievement is that connection back to the relationships, asking how students are doing, knowing what their next steps need to be. But our staff realize that that's where the success is. If you don't have those relationships in place, it doesn't matter how much what you're saying will matter. In terms of improvement opportunities, we have 87% of our school-based staff know what to do if a student is struggling with mental health. That is something that is a constant conversation of central office and of school-based teams. And so we can do a better job of educating our staff and have more systems in place that will address that, and Ms. Losser will speak to that more directly. And about 3/4, 73% of our staff agree that discipline is equitably enforced across the school. Now this is 3 through 12 in these results, and so I want to be aware of that as well.
So two different big actions we're focusing on here. With the mental health support, we recognize, and I felt this same way as a teacher, teachers do not come into the profession with formal training on mental health. And now all of us, no matter what our role is, really are stepping into supporting mental health needs of students. So we can't just rely on the counselor or social worker. It has to be that first line of defense, that trusted adult that students spend the bulk of their time with, and that's their classroom teachers. So really looking at how do we equip all of our teachers and all of our staff to feel more comfortable, because the needs are just very prevalent. Not to say they weren't prior to COVID, but they're much more obvious to us now. They were probably always there, but we just didn't see it quite as much. So really looking at some of the tools and resources such as our family assistance program, and making sure that our staff is aware if they are hearing about support that families need, that we can access that and we pay for that so that families can get all sorts of support, financial, social, emotional, whatever it might be, free of charge. And then layering in additional systems into our schools above and beyond the counselors and social workers. So community revolutions, I know when Panorama presented a while back, you heard from Charles Dixon, who really started that program. He's helped us build what that could look like moving into other schools. We did expand to Fox Meadow at the beginning of this year, going through a little bit of a staffing change, but we're working through that. And so that is really an individual who can sit by a student in class, really help support them. It's someone that our students can really relate to, be honest with about their struggles, and help problem solve what it can look like to better access their education. Our Student Success Centers, I think you have also heard a little bit about. We started with our high schools and then expanded to Carmel. We'll continue to expand, but that's where we have trained individuals in trauma-informed care that we use as an alternative to suspension, because we all know sending them home and expecting them to come back with better skills to access the classroom just doesn't have a sense. We need to provide that skill development. So students who go into the Student Success Centers for a couple days at a time, we have a daily schedule where there's some targeted mental health support, skill development. They set goals and an action plan so that when they re-enter general ed a couple days later, they have a clear plan in place, and then that staff checks in on those students to follow up. So that's one of the first main areas. The other one that you'll see there is really around the discipline piece. We are engaging our administrators regularly in admin meetings, digging very deep into that data, and you've seen some of the data in community conversations and other opportunities that we've had to dig into it. We're really going through a mindset shift, and in all honesty, this is not an easy thing to do. Moving away from traditional discipline to a mindset where some of the feedback on the survey, the narrative comments speak to, we don't have strict enough consequences, or a student has a certain infraction and I don't know if anything's being done about it. Because in their mind, if the student comes back to class, then maybe nothing was done. And so it's really educating all of our staff that we are trying to equip students with the tools to be in class, and that's where they are going to succeed. But it's helping kind of build that restorative nature, because it's not the way we all went through school. It was a very punitive, consequence-based approach. And so we're just having to kind of work through that mindset together with that blend of equity and making sure that everyone has access to the support that they need to be successful. Any questions about the staff survey results?
Looking at the student discipline, what you were just stating, you said more staff are stating that they see punishment as too lenient.
There's mixed approaches, but with several of the principals sitting behind you, they are working very, very hard with staff members. In some places it's a small percentage, but it could be a vocal percentage that does feel like discipline is not strict enough. And so it's that sense making that is not how strict the consequence is, but did the approach help change the behavior? Because that's our goal, is if a student gets into a fight, if a student is swearing in class, the consequence or the restorative approach should be to help educate them around the impact, build empathy, be able to restore that kind of broke relationship with whoever the student or teacher they interacted with. And that doesn't mean we have to keep them out of classroom school. There's other ways that we can really support them. So it's not something that changes overnight. This is a couple year process that we're in, but we're really seeing
the majority of staff get on board, but we have some sensitive things to do.
We've seen some improvements over the years when it comes to discipline, but to see that type of switch coming from that angle, I think is rather odd. Just me being frank about it, that seems odd that the 73% feel that.
And when you say equitably, I guess I did review that as a staff saying that some forms of discipline are more lenient. I viewed it as staff maybe seeing students disciplined inequitably. Now that you know what I'm saying, like, for example, more boys being disciplined as opposed to girls.
So part of that, a scenario that I used to use as a principal is more along the lines of, we used to use a very progressive kind of code of conduct of, first time you do this, X happens, second time, this happens. And so you could have two scenarios, students that seemingly completed the same infraction, but their consequence might be different. We reworded this question purposely this year because the way that staff was responding to that was not understanding why, if the two students did the same action, why didn't they get the same consequence? When the principals spend sometimes hours investigating the situation, talking to multiple students, talking to the parent, looking at the history of that student may have owned up to their behavior, and all of those factors may lead to two different outcomes of the situation. So the way the question was worded before, that was kind of the definition of, was it more equal of a punishment? And so now trying to move to more of that equity focus of what each kid needs may not be the same in the moment. Are we giving them what they need to change their behavior and learn and grow from the situation? So that's really what we are now digging into with that question. Some of the discipline equity conversations, when we look at gender differences, all of those types of things, that gets picked up in much more specific data dives than this particular question.
I'm glad you used the infractions like 1 and 2 because a student could be acting out in a particular class and it happened more than once where someone see, okay, that's where this is happening, whereas another student could have an infraction in one class and then his second infraction is in another class. And so those two locations have a different view of what happened. And so it could be tiered a certain way, and I can see where that can create a little lag in the system.
The last year's question said consistently, not equitably, consistently enforced. And so that's a slightly different meaning than what we're trying to achieve.
Proceed.
We'll move on to the last statement.
And for our parents and guardians, we put on there that 93% of our parents and guardians we're proud of how the school looks. That's a theme that we wanted to promote. Again, back to the bond, that it's noticed by our staff, our students, and our parents alike, that they're proud of how their schools are looking. I think the 7% that said no are the schools that haven't been done yet. And we have 86% of our parents and guardians who are in favor of how the school addresses safety and discipline. And so that relates back to the question before. Our staff are more critical of their operations than the parents are of our operations in terms of discipline. And so I think that's probably a good thing. It makes for a healthy discussion, but our parents don't see that. Our parents are in favor of the safety and discipline that we are exhibiting in our schools. 90% of our parents and guardians agree that their principals support the success of their child as a student, which is important, to see them as an individual and their individual strengths, and what they can do to meet them at their level to help them succeed. And so having that parental support and agreeing that this is the goal and mission of the principal is something we wanted to make sure you're aware of. And for the improvement opportunities from our parents, 79% agree that teachers regularly inform them about how their child is doing in school. That is something that is important to us because we want to make sure that they are involved in the process of educating their students as much as possible. And about the same number, 78%, agree that when your child does something good at school, they hear about it from the school. And so having those positive phone calls, those positive emails, those interactions in the parking lot, those sorts of things matter. And that's something we can do more of.
So then the two actions we're focusing on, and this is always fun when there's an action that I haven't shared with the principals behind me. So they'll learn about one today. But the first one is student-led conferences, really as a way of making sure that those conferences are not just a conversation between the parent and the teacher about the student, but is a conversation led by the student, where it's kind of going back to, Corey, what you said about giving them an opportunity where they get to voice what they need in the classroom, what they are proud of. Plus, traditionally, in this district, our February conferences have been focused on students who are not at grade level and getting us another touch point with parents around what supports we're providing to their children, but really changing that this year. So in February, it's the same as October, where the intent is that we meet with all students' families. So just adding more opportunities. But we know 2 times a year is not going to get us where we want to be with parents' feedback. Those are just our formal opportunities that we've changed the structure of, but it's that more frequent communication. Teachers know in the classroom that the kind of rule of thumb is for every negative redirection you give a student, there should be 5 positives. And so thinking about the same thing with parents, often when we pick up the phone and call them, they cringe because they assume it's negative. And so needing to flip that narrative that we call you for positive things as well. So what we really want to do with that being a district focus is start to build in a school communication plan. So we will work on this in the new year, starting in our July admin training that we do, where we really lead schools in developing what is their communication plan, what pieces do they already have in place, and where can they find new opportunities to connect with parents about the celebrations of their children, but as also the ways that they're working together to build that homeschool connection. So that will be a focus area going into next week. Any questions about the parent and guardian feedback?
I had the opportunity to work with a gentleman who lived in Mont Vista up in the mountains, and he has like negative 20 up there sometimes. I'm like, I'm never going to visit, so thanks for letting me know that's there. But he has 3 students now who are at Sierra, and when they first got here, it was right in the middle of COVID. And I told him the schools are going to email you about everything. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. He's like, oh, I love it. Because they tell me when the students are doing their work online and when they're falling asleep or not paying attention online, and I'd love to be able to, we're going to let you know what's going on with your student. Regardless of whether it's good, bad, you're going to get a notification. So, but the students are still here. One will be graduating in a year or so, and the other 2 will follow. So they're right on track. Had to pull them from the mountain stuff. They weren't getting good education up there, I guess.
I'm glad they're with us now.
They love it. They love it.
And I just want to reiterate that parent involvement is very important, because I talk to a lot of parents, and if we can create more opportunities for them to be engaged, because having a relationship with the whole family unit will help kids be able to come to school and be prepared to learn and be focused. So cultivating those relationships with parents is very important. So I'm glad that's a focus that we have.
So, did you say that historically the second semester conferences were more geared towards kids who have challenges?
From the district perspective, some schools have always tried to meet with all parents both times, but the common messaging was, and part of it is timing, because in a one-day conference, if you have 28 kids, you can't meet with 28 families. So it was the focus of the families you meet with in person on those days would be the students who might be on an MTSS plan, a READ plan, who are getting some additional support outside of general education. So that's where we're broadening that focus, knowing it may not happen on that February day. It may happen sometime in the month of February, but that touch point with every single family, no matter the academic performance of their child.
That's good. And I say that from a personal experience because at a point in time, my daughter was doing very well. And I was always interested in going in, she can tell me whatever she wants to, but I want to hear it for myself. And so going to the conference, I was actually told in one conference, your daughter's doing very well. I don't even know why you're here. So, if the mindset is shifting, I mean, there's parents who want to know, they could care less about, you know, they're vested like that, so they want to track from, you know, when I dropped you at kindergarten to, I'm at the World Arena crying because now you're done. But it's the, what happens in the in-between time, so I'm glad that that shift is. Thanks.
I just have a really quick question. Well, comment. These are really great. This is really great data, and I love the infographic part of it. My question is around the number of students, guardians, and staff. Does this represent all of the students, all of the staff, and all of the guardians?
In terms of how many actually completed the survey. So if you go back to the first page, that's where Mr. Bristol spoke about 1,000 parents, which is pretty on par with previous years. Of course, we would love for that to be higher. We were just speaking about a survey we put out more recently that had a very targeted focus around our Monday morning PLCs. Parent response on that was much higher than this. And so that was just an interesting data point for us to think about in terms of when it's more specific data or the length of the survey, what is it that caused parents to respond to that survey at much higher rates? So conversations going on there. Students and staff were about the same, 64%. I love that you asked this question because Wendy and I knew you were going to ask this question, and I was charged with being prepared for the answer. The goal is 100%, and we track that carefully. So we send to every principal the whole window, their percentage. Many years ago, when we did this survey, when we did not have the same climate that we do now, where people feel comfortable sharing feedback, there was great concern that the survey was not anonymous. So we had made every effort to ensure that it is anonymous. That puts us in a little difficult spot in monitoring some of the data. So we have raw numbers, but if we go to a high schooler and say, hey, did you complete the survey? If they say yes, we just have to trust them because we don't know if they actually did or not. So there's some systems things on our side that we need to figure out how to better support. At the elementary level, just because of the function of elementary school, it is a little easier to say, all fourth graders sit down and take the survey. Done. You were absent this day, you take it tomorrow. High school becomes a little bit more difficult because we have to think about, are we doing it within all social studies classes on the same day? Are we doing it in advisory? We even used our student board reps this year
to kind of use the peer-to-peer voice of, hey, they really do take this feedback seriously, take this opportunity to get us feedback. And so we know it's our middle and high schoolers that make up the bulk of the feedback we did not receive. And so we're constantly brainstorming what that can look like next year. With staff, once again, some creative things. We don't want our administrators hovering over their shoulders as they take the survey, because then they feel like they can't give honest feedback. But they've done some creative things of hosting a breakfast. Come bring your laptop, let's all take the survey at the same time to try to hit that 100%. And we did have schools that hit 100%. We just need to work towards getting district-wide 100% of staff and students to take this opportunity to get this feedback.
So that's her nice way of saying it. To me, there's no excuse for why every student's not taking this survey. And the principals are hearing me right now because they know if they weren't at 100%. We are here for students, and if we're not listening to students, how dare us not listen to students? This is our chance to hear from students, and if you can't create a system, we will create one for you, because this gives us our next steps in this district. Staff, it's a little bit tricky because there's all kinds of feelings, it's an opportunity, but for students, we will have a higher percentage next year.
So you can keep track of this 64, and a year from now, see what percent we come back with.
I will, and I also have a question, and I think we would all agree that as a board, we do want to support in parent engagement and also feedback, right? And so how can we as a board help to support that?
You know, and I've been thinking about it from kind of the pre-board conversation I was hearing. I think what we're looking for is really some more creative outside of the box approaches, because we're trying the same traditional approaches. Schools put in a lot of time and effort to hosting certain events, a parent meeting, and it's then somewhat deflating when one parent shows up. And so trying to figure out how do we bring that to them if they're not able because of schedules, they're comfortable coming into the school. How do we bring those opportunities to where they are? So I think we just have to kind of break outside of the mold. We're going to try something new. We haven't flushed out the details yet, but we recognize a huge percentage of our parents speak another language, and we do force them to come into an environment where we present in English and then we translate it for them. So let's host events where we present it in the primary language. So starting with a registration event that's hosted completely in Spanish, and tapping into some of our Spanish-speaking families to help us kind of network that. Because I know if I was in a different country and that was not my primary language, I probably would not be as comfortable coming into the school for those events. So we're trying some new things this spring, but any ideas that you have, we're open to them, so please let us know.
I actually spoke with Ms. Thomas last week and volunteered my time to make phone calls to parents for the next building. And so I will also volunteer my time to be at any staff things that you might have. It might be, more positive, like me saying, hey, I want to know you, right? Not necessarily the principal or the supervisor or something. But if they know that I, as a board member, want to know what they think they might be. So I'll volunteer.
Thank you very much. We'll take you up on that offer.
And then, as a board, of course, like Joyce said, we all are in agreement with supporting those efforts. So with us just knowing when these things are happening, we can definitely be present when our schedules allow us to be. But I have a lot of ideas, so we can have a conversation, because a lot of parents don't know who we are, and they really do need to know who we are, because that helps them with their comfort level as well, being able to come to us and not like, oh, we can't talk to the board because they're up here or whatever. So just coming down to where they are and being very personable, I'm sure all of us are definitely open to that. So yeah, I have some ideas that we can definitely engage.
So before they leave, I just want to highlight a few misnomers. Students, staff, and parents say our schools are safe. D2 schools are safe. Students, staff, and parents are proud of the way the schools look. And students, staff, and parents see relationships. Yes, we have work to do, but I want to dispel a myth that D2 is a scary, dangerous place. We are not. We care about kids more than any district you'll find in the city or state, and we do everything to put our students first. So our survey data says that. It tells us directly what to do next, and this is a proud place to lead.
One more. So, thank you, Dr. Franzo, because that's now public record. You heard it from the superintendent first. With the data, also, I wanted to follow up just a little bit question. So we know that maybe we'll make some efforts in the future to have things that are in Spanish. But I'm curious to know other because there's so many languages spoken. Are we also missing 52? I don't know if we can host 52 different languages, but it makes me curious about the other languages that are not responding. Do you kind of have data on that too, because of that being a barrier?
Yes, so one piece, and I don't know if we've shared with you in other settings, is about language line. Have I mentioned that yet? So that, because we know there's apps that can translate for us, but we also know that kind of dehumanizes the process a little bit. And so language line is a live person. So if you walked in the front office and you have a question for me as the principal, speak a different language, I can call it on my cell phone, get a live person who can translate for us right then and there. So that breaks down some barriers. Previously, we'd use translating companies where we would have to give them a week or two notice to find someone who speaks Burundi and then come. And so being able to use this language line really hopefully makes families feel like they can walk in and we have the tools to have a conversation with them right away. I know this doesn't address the other languages, but a request came up. I was at Panorama at the beginning of the year. Anitra's been hosting these like Tuesday teacher hours where they really get to drive the conversation and ask questions, have some sense making. And one of the questions was around Spanish classes for staff, because that's not something we've offered in a while. So we kind of dug into different options and found a conversational, educational classroom Spanish course through UCCS. We had prepaid for, I think, about 90 slots. We have more than doubled that, and we have to keep buying more. Your own superintendent is taking the class. And so we have lots of people who are trying to enhance their own language abilities to be able to break down that barrier in interacting with our families as well. So lots of different efforts. We actually just worked on an ESSER revision today. The CLDE, Culturally Linguistically Diverse Education Department is using some ESSER funds to continue to find ways to enhance just greater language access for all of our families.
And I will just add, at a later meeting this spring, we are going to have our CLDE department come speak to you, including some of our families who have come from other countries and what supports we provided, what could be more helpful, and they're going to talk to you about some of the language barriers that has caused their kids for education. So that is coming up this spring for you to hear from some of our CLDE families.
And then just something we didn't mention before. What we shared with you tonight is obviously the district level data and some of the steps we are taking as district departments. Each school is doing the same process. So they have a different version of this infographic that they are working on and will get on their websites. they're engaging their teacher leaders in that process, because this is average data within each of our schools. They may not have the same focus areas, so they have some very targeted actions at each school that they're working on as well.
I do have one request. So the next time we see this information, could we have something similar to a word cloud with all the languages that are in the district?
Like as them being listed, what they are?
Like a word cloud, really, my district.
And we can get it well before you see this again.
And to answer your question, students, last year we're at 56% responding, and so we did make about 10% more this year, and so we're on the upward trend, but we still have work to do.
Very nice. I
We'll try and
appreciate you
walk
guys.
away again.
I got you. I'll help you. We're gonna move right along to item number 7, matters reserved for board action. Item 7.1, board policy, governance, culture. 4, officer roles. Do we need any more discussion on that topic?
I got one more item for consideration.
Okay.
Janice, when we look at it, there's some changes that between what the president roles were in a couple of those versus the secretary. If you look at, I think it's, for the secretary, it's number 1 and number 2 versus the president, it's 1 and 87. So duplication.
Some duplicates there. I do see that. Okay. I do see a difference in those 2 bullet points. One being, one is consistent with annual calendar versus the timeliness. Oh no, okay, I see what you're saying. So we'll need to revise those 2 bullets. And what was the second? I'm sorry, Ms. Elizabeth.
Number 1, I think it was number 7.
7 for me.
Yes.
7 for me, 1 for you. Okay. Yeah, I'm following that one. Okay, and that's the other one for you. So we're overlapping there. So we can strike it from me. Leave it for you. And I still got 6. Then I think we'd be squared away there. So we'll strike that one. All right, strike that one for me, leave it for you, and then we're good. I appreciate that. Whew. Light the low there. All right. And after those changes have been made, item 7.2, I would just get a motion to approve those changes.
I move to approve the changes to the board policy GC4 officer roles.
I second.
Motion by Mrs. English, second by Mrs. Salazar. All of those in favor?
Aye.
And we will move right along to item number 8, board consent agenda. Just to note to the public, these things have been discussed already, and we are moving right along in our approval process. First item 8.1, approval of minutes of November 17, 2021, board meeting on December 8th, 2022 board meeting. Item 8.2, OE3, treatment of stakeholders monitoring report on January 19, 2023. Item 8.3, OE4, personnel administration indicator report on January 19, 2023. Item 8.4, OE11, instructional program indicator report, also January 19th, 2023. And for item 8.5, I would just need a motion for those items.
Mr. President, I move to approve the board consent agenda.
I second.
Motion by Mrs. Wills Hill, second by Mrs. Salazar. All of those in favor? Items so moved. And moving right along to item number 9, Superintendent's Consent Agenda. Item 9.1, January Personnel Comparison Report. Item 9.2, October and November Financial Reports. And item 9.3, I would just need a motion to approve those items as well.
I move to approve the board consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. English, second by Mrs. Wills Hill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Items so moved. Right. Item number 10, monitoring board performance. Do we have any changes to our annual work plan? Item 10.1. None at the moment. We're still set to go out for our search for Sierra board representative. It's going to be a fun day. And item 10.2, do we have anything?
May I add something, please?
Yes, ma'am.
On the 27th, we will be recognizing at Sierra High School our superintendent of the year, and hopefully you will all be there as well.
I will be there. I have a flight out that day, and I pushed it 6 hours because I said I'm going to be there. So I will be there with you at Sierra in all my crimson and gold. It's at 9 to 10. Oh yeah, I know. I'll be there. All right, and for item number 11, I would just need a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Frazier, second by Mrs. English. All of those in favor? Meeting adjourned. Everybody stay warm. Cold weather's coming in. Be safe. Thank you.